Hello everyone, my name is Vaisu Sirius. Today's topics for discussion are: the first topic talks about the case for Indian lending. It talks about the financial services that we as a country can provide in the coming near future, where the future of Asia as a continent as a gravity of attention of economic interests is being predicted in the given future. The next article discusses about social media, and it tries to critically analyze whether if social media is really necessary today. So let us begin with the articles. First we shall discuss about the case for Indian lending. Beginning with the context, the context talks about shift of global economic gravity to Asia. We know that not just the economic gravity but the entire geopolitical and strategic center of point is shifting towards the Asia Pacific region, and for that matter specifically Asia. And then two largest contenders in Asia to become the economic giants and attract the financial services of the future are China and India. But here what we are going to discuss about certain contradictions that China inherently has, and how India can take advantage of these contradictions and can rightly come out as the leader for future financial sectors and attracting financial services in our country. So let us begin first by talking about what contradictions does China face. It's very simple. We know that the communist rule exists in China, and therefore uh, it it inherently or ideologically is contradictory to the idea of free markets and entrepreneurship. And also recently there was a case where a lot of initial public offerings were put down. So this again shows that how the contradictions are very much there in China, and it's not the best possible future destination for enhancing the scope of financial services in Asia. So then the very natural alternative to increase the scope of financial services in Asia is India. Now let us talk about why more financial institutions within India should be present in the future, and why Indian center of gravity or India should be taken as a center of gravity for attracting all the financial institutions in the coming future. It is going to mutually benefit the world, the future investors, as well as India. So let us try to unravel how it is going to benefit us as well as others. Firstly, if we see the points here, it talks about the lack of capital. So by lack of capital, what it means is credit to GDP ratio in India. So the lack of capital, what it says is India has the labor, India has the land, the employees required, but then it certainly lacks in capital. If we see the statistics, the credit to GDP ratio is stuck at 50%, and the number of bad loans are only increasing day by day, and it has reached a very high of more than 10 lakh crores. So, if financial services and investments would increase in the future in our country, it is going to benefit us at a very large scale. Then, secondly, it will also enhance competition, because future investors, foreign financial service firms will come in India and invest over here. So, our local stocks and financial service providers would feel the competition and try to be more efficient with their services. The next comes strategic implications. By strategic implications, what it means is global bank lending suffering with home bias. What happens is currently the strategic biasness is being seen, where global bank lending mechanisms are definitely there, but they are not reliable, because this problem of home bias has been observed. What they mean by home bias is these global lending institutions, they prefer more in investing in their domestic markets rather than foreign markets to avoid any kind of hostility and vulnerability of global markets. So it is very less probable to rely on global banks for lending, and then it will be a very good idea if we'll encourage financial services to come in inside India. And next talks about the UPI success. A statistic says that more than 2 billion monthly transactions had taken place via UPI. So that shows that India is a great marketplace and is only showing upward trajectory when it comes to digital financial services and transactions. Now, if we see, we have observed that more why Indian center of gravity should be considered for more financial institutions in the coming future, when the economic gravity is shifting towards Asia. We also need to discuss about the way forward. If India is certainly going to be the destination, then we should know that how we can make the best out of it. So the way forward here talks about create nationalized bank holding capacity. So by the nomenclature itself, it says that we need to have more and more nationalized banks who have good capacity. So we know that the public sector banks are facing issues of NPAs and problems like that. So their capacity has been hampered, and we need to strengthen them further. Then of course bringing new banks, more coverage of accounts, and more inclusion of people into the financial web or in the financial network. Then empowering the RBI, of course, um, less less intervention from the political and executive members, and giving more autonomy to the RBI to take certain decisions. Explore new eyes for banking supervision. So the current supervising mechanisms in India need improvement and need other supplementary bodies as well for the near future. Then we also need to bluntly uh, differentiate, not a sharp differentiation, but differentiation between banks, non-banks, and financial technical services. So there was an example given that if we want to develop an airport, we cannot make use of the same framework which is used for developing a railway station. So similarly, there needs to be focus on the barriers and the differences, not watertight compartmentalization of banks, non-banks, and fintech companies or fintech associations. Then the next point talks about more freedom to the Indian entrepreneurs, and this it's so only providing protection is not what the entrepreneurs will always want, but then more freedom is will be more beneficial in the longer run. And also it goes along very well with Gandhiji's idea. So once he had mentioned a quote or a saying where he told that he doesn't want his house to be walled from all the sides and his windows completely closed outright. He in fact wants, so what he said was, rather I want the cultures of all lands to blow through his house as freely as possible. So he emphasized on openness along with the right amount of protection of the domestic entrepreneurs. Now, after having discussed the way forward, a simple conclusion what we can say here is that we need to empower our financial services entrepreneurs. So what will happen through this is when they feel empowered, they will try to make full use of future opportunity of the Asian century, the Asian center of gravity of economic services to the globe, and the Asian century that we are talking about in the coming days. All the focus, all the eyes shifting towards Asia. So there's a lot of scope to achieve commendable targets if we try to focus on the forthcoming Asian century from now onwards only, and China's contradictions and inward focus strategy will continue to exist, and this is the right time where we can try to build on and work on our way forward and become the center of gravity of the future Asian century. So, as they say, strike while the iron is hot. This opportunity can be very rightly used by India. Now, this was all about the first article. The second article talks about the a very crucial part of all our lives, and it's almost everywhere now around us. It talks about the social media, and the topic says a digital sisterhood. That how basically we know by sisterhood the fraternity we mean on digital and virtual spaces, but the context here in this article is to critically analyze that whether social media is really necessary in the present generation. So that is the current context, necessity of social media today. So let's first look into the apprehensions or the negative parts and why people have been wondering that if social media is the right thing for the present generation. See, the problems definitely are there, and the major ones being, as discussed in the article, are the increasing isolation, sense of isolation. So people post their happy lives on photos, but in reality, they very much feel isolated. They might have thousands of friends on their social media, but then they feel that there's nobody really who is there to help them at the right time. Then it's full of fake news, fakes, and predators. We know it, and how children have fallen prey to all such things. Then social media has rightly started substituting and encroaching physical networks. So how a very humorous anecdote here is how dating sites virtually virtual dating sites was never an idea, but then now it is very much prominent these days. So it has encouraged or substituted the physical networks or the physical the areas. And then what happens is it has also become a fighting arena. A very common example that struck my mind here was we saw the YouTube versus TikTok the rivalry currently, and it was also linked with issues like digital communalism, where one of the sites was the sites were associated with certain religious ideologies, and it was said that it is kind of digital communalism, and it had got really serious in the subsequent time. So we see these are the prevailing issues due to social media, but also we need to realize that loneliness is not only because of social media. So you know loneliness basically doesn't mean that not having people around you. Loneliness means not being able to find the right kind of people who understand your issues and problems. So that is the thing. And then why social media is important, because see the this is the era of globalization now, so therefore there is definitely need. The globalization demands the existence of social media, where the boundaries have become uh, transparent these days, and we can talk and virtually reach any place in the world these days. Then generation gap demand. So the newer generations have different ideas, different ideology, and they think that social media is a right kind of platform to discuss it and express their views. So that is why social media does hold significance. Then women's emotional isolation got got a new platform to discuss. Then the next is normative isolation has been curbed. The normative isolation, as in there were some people who were not in coherence with the existing norms of the society and they felt isolated. But then social media has given them platform to discuss, to share their ideas with people who share same kind of views on a given topic, and therefore the normative isolation is no more felt by such people. Now we need to focus on the positives. So the positives here are, very clearly we know it, that it has connected people. Virtual linkages have become stronger than ever. Then women have women are feeling the strong sense of motivation and independence, and we know how they use social media rightly to raise their voices through Me Too and he for she moments and things like that. Then it does not, so it's a misconception that it's substituting the physical networks. Rather, we can say that it is supplementing the physical network. So the very common example right now is social media. Right now in the COVID era, where schools, physical schools are not really possible to work these days, and how social media and through internet, through digital spaces, people are still getting educated and getting the classes, being able to access classes, being able to communicate with their friends over online media, through video conferencing, video chatting. So these are the examples. And then of course emotional nourishment is very much present. Now, next we are going to talk about is the conclusion. So we know that the present day world is simply a mixture of cultures, identities, and selfhoods. And in order to achieve this mixture of multiple tribes, the right thing to do here is to make right use of social media. So that's it. And lastly, please don't forget the art and science of asking questions is the source of all knowledge. Thank you.